There we go. Okay. Now we're gonna go live on Facebook. 1 second. How do we? Okay. Page and Nation of Israel and go live. Hopefully we'll be live, but if not, we are going to. Yes, got it. Very good.
Hey, Greg, can you mute me for 1 second?
I can do that. Yeah. How do? 1 second. Participants. Oops.
Oh. Okay, I might do that later. Okay. All right. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I'm back.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're live here on. Oops. Hold on. Yeah, we're live here on Zoom on the Nation of Israel. Once again with my friend Ephraim Frank Zelenko, or how did you want to be called? Shmelenko?
Shmang Valenko.
Shmelenko. I just want to say that this segment, it's not sponsored by, and it's not even brought to you by, but we are going to have featuring the Beituni. Beituni, for those of you guys that don't know, is an indigenous grape of Israel. We found them. We found a few of them. There's Beituni, Hamdani, Jandali, Marawi. There's 100 others that are being developed at or being turned into wine at Ariel University. And this one was actually made by Recanati Winery, believe it or not. And I'm having it now. And it's from 2018. 12% alcohol. It's fairly light, kind of transparent, translucent. It's very young and very green. And we're just still developing this. This is our indigenous grapes. Like Israel's been using all these cabs and merlots and shirazes, which are great in Israel, but now we have our own indigenous grape, and actually that's one of the simanim of, we're talking about Mashiach here. That's another sign of Mashiach, that not only do we have vineyards in Israel, but we have our own indigenous grape that we're probably B'ezrat Hashem going to use in the Beit HaMikdash. So, l'chaim, l'chaim. I already said a bracha. I'm not cheating.
I
wish you could have this. I think you have this in Miami. I think they sell this in Miami as well. I'm going to find out where.
I will inquire about it. I will inquire at it. To it.
To it? Well, wine doesn't talk back just yet. So we spoke about.
I will inquire of it. I think that's
yes,
what I was trying to say.
There we go.
I don't know if that's right though. But.
All right. You and I spoke about last time, at the end of the last video, the last show. I was going to tell you the story of my friend, or I guess something that happened in his family. We're talking like 16 or 17 years ago. Crazy story. And we're going to get, I guess, after I tell you the story, I wanted to talk about I guess what you would call the main character, the main character of the story, and how that ties into Mashiach. So, so 16 years ago, my friend's, his mother's sisters, his aunt, was having trouble, conceiving. And they were directed to this Mekubal somewhere in Brooklyn, Hasidish Mekubal, Kabbalist, and they were walking. They parked their car. They're walking to the building where this was, and my friend's mom there's like some guy that comes up to her, like a really, really tall guy, dressed in Hasidic garb. He's got to be like 7'2", 7'3", like abnormally tall. Maybe even 7'5", like giant size. And then he starts talking to her, and he goes, I know why you're here. Your sister and so, whatever it is, she, and he starts telling her stuff about her life that no one would know. No one, not even her husband, would know these things. And then he goes, I love the picture, fantastic. And then he goes, your sister is actually pregnant. and Baruch Hashem, and whatever it is. And then she goes to him, to the guy. She's like, "Who are you?" And then he goes to her, "I think you know who I am." And then she goes, "Eliyahu HaNavi?" Because you understand, this woman wasn't like religious in the classical sense, but she's from Kafkazi origin, Gorsky mountain Jews, and they're pretty traditional, and they know about all these things, these kind of Jewish idea, folklore, whatever. And
I grew up in Brooklyn with Ashkenazi parents in Kiev.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Shabbos was. A Kafkaz lady is going to know who Eliyahu HaNavi is. So just to give you a contrast.
These are Russian-speaking people, but they never had religion taken away and there's a reason for that, by Stalin. And so she goes, "You're Eliyahu HaNavi," and he's like, "Yes, I'm Eliyahu HaNavi." And then I guess her sister, the one who was pregnant, called her to, come on, catch up, we have to go to this Mukubal, whatever it is. And then as she starts walking, she turns around, and the guy, it's like Batman, the guy disappears, and she doesn't even know which direction he went. She didn't even see where he went. Just poof, thin air. And and then they get to they sit down in the office, and then I guess my friend's mom is asking her sister, "Are you pregnant?" She's like, "What? Are you pregnant? Don't lie to me." And she's just like, "Yeah, I just found out," whatever it is. And so my friend says that this story has been kind of like this crazy story in his family for the past 16 years. So now the question is, well, I have two questions. One is, can something like that actually happen? And the greater question is, since I became, I guess, Torah observant, I keep hearing about this Eliyahu HaNavi guy. Even before that, I keep hearing about on Pesach, we have to leave this. There you go. I didn't plan this, by the way. Just so happens I have wine. So you got to leave a whole full glass of this, maybe a half a glass of this, according to halacha, for Eliyahu HaNavi. Why are we leaving it for him? Who is he? Is he like Mashiach's hype man? Is he Mashiach's, what is it called? we see in comedies, seller, the MC guy that warms up the crowd. Who is this guy? And why is he necessary?
When I was first learning about this thing, and I was watching like Marvel cartoons, because I started kind of interesting in this when I was about 14.
Mm-hmm.
I was still watching cartoons.
Nice.
Who am I kidding? I'm still watching cartoons. Why am I? I don't even know. I was just watching an old episode of Thundercats the other day.
Snarf, snarf, snarf.
Yeah, Chitara, are you kidding me? Anyway, so
anyway.
Yeah, so I realized that when I heard about Mashiach right away, when I heard about Eliyahu HaNavi, it kind of reminded me of the Silver Surfer.
I used to have the comics somewhere. I still have them somewhere. They used to be very coveted comics.
Yeah, they probably still are,
Mm-hmm.
And he was the herald of, who was it? He was coming.
Marvel? Or DC?
No. He was the herald of the guy, that Marvel character who's gonna come and destroy Apocalypse or Galacticus. Galactus? You know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean? It's like a group of people? I don't understand.
No, there was a Marvel character who swallows up worlds. Got his name.
You talking about Colossus?
No, Colossus was a Russian guy.
Hold on. Swallows.
He was a nice Russian guy.
Hold on. Swallows of the universe. I don't know. See, I'm not big on this. I'm like a total quasar. No.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Galactus, something like that.
Hold on. Galactus. Yeah, Galactus. Yeah, Galactus here consumed planets to sustain his life force. It serves a functional role in the upkeep of the primary Marvel continuity.
Right.
Interesting.
So just the herald part.
Okay.
I'm I don't think Moshiach is going to come and swallow up the world, but the Silver Surfer, he himself was like, no one could even touch him. You know, he was like basically like invincible. He was like a juggernaut.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure why that came to mind, but he's an exceptional character. So what I heard about Eliyahu HaNavi, I don't really, I don't know what to make of it, but basically, he's one of the human beings who never died. He was transformed. His physical body itself was transformed for it to be able to survive in heaven, whatever that means. Heaven is a place. It's not some kind of moral, philosophical, psychological realm, even though your mind is connected to it, but it has its own place. It's a place. And also, you know how there's like you have like an Atzilut, Beria, Yetzira, and Asiya. So more than just the breakup of the world, that's a pattern that you will find on every level. So you have whatever you have in Atzilut, you're going to have in Beria, some version of it, some form, some correlation. Whatever you have in Beria, you're going to have in Yetzira, and whatever you have in Yetzira, you're going to have an Asiya, and that's where we are.
Yeah.
And they talk about these palaces. You know, the seven heavens, the seven palaces. What are they? Can you bring up? I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. Oh, can I bring up seven heaven?
Yeah, the Hebrew.
Wow. Hold on. Palaces? Are you sure? In Asiya, you said?
Sometimes they're referred to as palaces. Sometimes they're referred to
Seven
as
heavens. Yeah. I mean, there you go. Mesopotamian. Okay, Judaism. I'm just looking at the basic kind of. Yeah, here you go. The Talmud. Okay, upper part of the universe made of seven heavens: Vilon, Rakia, Shehakim, Zebul, Maon, Mahon, and Aravot.
Aravot. Okay. So we're whichever world you're on, whichever level you're on, there is an Aravot there, and there's all the other ones too.
Ophanim, Seraphim. This is where when we say kedusha, Seraphim, Hayot.
Yeah, but so if there's an Aravot in Atzilus, then there's an Aravot in Asiya. There is an Aravot here somewhere. There is some place, some, for lack of a better word, physical location that corresponds, that fulfills the role of Aravot here somewhere.
Yeah.
So, and the same on every level. So there's a complex universe out there. Somehow he was transformed, Eliyahu, to be able to to function in those places. So he never died. His physical body never died. It was transformed, and also he can come back. I don't know if he can come back anytime he wants, but his physical form can kind of return, I think, either to its original form or to some kind of form that the Malachim take on when they need to be here to interact with us.
So what you're saying is that guy that my friend's mother saw, that was like one of those manifestations of him.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility, at least. And so, and he's always going back and forth, because on top of all that, it would seem that he was never really a regular guy in the first place.
Yeah.
He is associated with, or even it's possible to say also known as, the angel Sandalphon.
What's his name? Sandalphon?
Yeah.
Never heard this name. Oh, it's one word. Sandalphon.
Yeah.
Archangel. Okay. Which may be related to the Hebrew Sandek. That's why he appears at what's it called? At Brit Milah. Interesting. Son of Phone. He is uniformly depicted as extremely tall. He exceeds Hadraniel in height by 500-year-foot journey.
That's a code. That's a code.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Every time you hear a measurement, a number, something absurd.
Yeah.
That's a code. It's not.
I just want to read it. During Moses' visit to the third heaven, he is said to have glimpsed Sandalphon and called him the tall angel, though this legend dates to much later than the time of the Torah. Talmud Hagiga 13b says Sandalphon's head reaches heaven, which is also said of. Sorry?
Back up.
Yeah.
What are you reading? Just out of curiosity.
I'm just reading out of Wikipedia.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out that it was Wikipedia that said, although this legend, is from a time way past when the Torah was given.
Yeah.
So not necessarily. This is going to be the most likely academic /
Yeah. I mean, they're just giving where this, the sources for now. It says Sandalphon seems to have, whatever, blah blah blah. In the Greater Key of Solomon, I don't know what this is. It's a pseudo.
Mafteach Shlomo. It's a Kabbalistic book.
Yeah, it's a 14th, 15th century Italian Renaissance magic thing. Sandalphon is designated as a left-hand feminine cherub of the Ark of the Covenant. In the liturgy for Sukkot, he is credited with gathering the prayers of the faithful, making a garland for such prayers, and then enduring them to ascend as an orb to the Supreme King of Kings. In the Zohar, he is the chief of seventh heaven. As Michael does, he carries on a ceaseless battle with the Mr. S, an angel of evil. The ancient sages also refer to him by the name Ophan, like wheel, a reference to the wheel within the wheel, from Yehezkel's vision of the heavenly chariot in the book of Yehezkel, chapter 1. So the is also said to be instrumental in bringing about the differentiation of sex in the embryo. Interesting. This is like
Eliyahu is the chief of the Ophanim.
What's up?
Sandalphon / Eliyahu is the chief of the Ophanim.
Mm-hmm.
That's the classification of angels.
There's a Ibn Hazm, I don't know what this is meant, I guess a commentator. Andalusian Muslim person is an angel who serves the crown. He discusses that Jews, though regarding Metatron as an angel, would celebrate Metatron as a lesser god 10 days each year, probably a reference to Rosh Hashanah in connection with the Merkava mysticism that Metatron took part in the creation of the world. In Kabbalah, Sandalphon is the angel who represents the sphere of Malchut and overlaps or is confused with the angel Metatron. He is said to appear before the feminine presence of the Shina and to receive human prayers and send them to Hashem. So
Sandalphon overlaps with, in some ways, with sphere of Malchut, and Metatron overlaps with Zer Anpin and the 6 emotional sphirot. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yisod. So and Metatron / Zer Anpin / the 6 emotional sphirot overlap with Yetzirah, and Sandalphon / Malchut / Eliyahu / the chief Ophan overlaps with the world of Asiya. And they are considered 2 sides of the same coin. And Sandalphon is the underside.
Interesting.
And Eliyahu, what's the Gematria of Eliyahu?
Not cool. Wish I knew.
I have a number in my head. I just want to confirm it before I
let's see.
Before I make a fool out of myself.
600. No, this is 643. No, that's English. Sorry.
No English Gematria here, please.
What? I know. No. I'm just looking on the website and because it's stupid. Hold on. Okay. No, this is something else.
Yeah, we should
Oh,
actually examine it.
34? No.
Yeah,
I don't know.
man.
Oh,
Google.
hold on.
Thanks for nothing, Google.
Hold on. Maybe DuckDuckGo could tell us. Hold on. 40? No, it's a yeah. No, that's it's 40 days of fasting. Where is this? Oh, hello.
I know, right? It's like they're trying not to let us know.
That's right. Hagila D. Okay. No. The one who comes from Gilad. Eliyahu Yovel.
If you just Google Eliyahu, sometimes Wikipedia will have the Hebrew. My computer is not letting me on Wikipedia for some reason. So
What? That's really strange. Maybe they're just blocking you completely. Hold on. Eliyahu. You know what? So then I found what's it called? I found the Hebrew. I just had
there's a couple of different spellings of it, but there's a standard spelling.
Here, they have the Hebrew Gematria here. Here you go. Here. Come on. I just had it.
The folks at home are waiting.
That's right.
No pressure. No pressure.
Hold on. Kuf.
By the way, every time I keep saying the folks at home, I'm channeling Norm Macdonald because he keeps saying that on his show.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say it here.
Here. Thing is, I want to hold on. You know what? Let's do just regular translate.
Okay, I'm looking at it.
And
Eliyahu. We have Aleph is 1, Lamed is 30, 31, plus
Yud.
10, 41.
Yeah.
Plus Hey is 45. Is that right? Can that be right?
Hold on. 52.
52. That's the one I was looking for.
Yeah.
I missed something. Oh, because of the
The
vav at the end. Like an idiot, I forgot the vav at the end. Okay. So Eliyahu was 52, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about that last time, the number 52. That is the name 52.
Mm-hmm.
The name Havaya, that when you do the Miloi, right? When you reveal the hidden letters of each individual letter in the name,
Mm-hmm.
it would add up to 52. So it would be Yud Vav Dalet.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would be Hey Hey, Vav Vav, Hey Hey. So when you add that up, that's 52.
Mm-hmm.
Yud Vav Dalet, Hey Hey, Vav Vav, Hey Hey, 52. Okay, so, and that name of God corresponds to our world, corresponds to Asiya. And the name that corresponds to Yetzirah is the name 45. So that would be Yud Vav Dalet, Hey Aleph, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Aleph. That's 45.
Mm-hmm.
45 is also the Gematria of Adam. And so that name corresponds to, the name 45 corresponds to Yetzirah, corresponds to Adam, corresponds to Zeranpin, corresponds to Metatron. And you see here Eliyahu, which is 52, corresponds to the name 52, which corresponds to Asiya, which corresponds to Sandalphon.
Interesting.
So I'm not trying to put these things together. I wouldn't know how,
Yeah.
I just know that these are overlapping ideas. They correspond to each other, and how precisely, I'm not going to be able to put that together.
So why? So back to answer the question, but yet, why is he necessary? What does he? What does he do? Like, why does Mashiach need him to come before him and do what?
Okay. So what does he need to do? He represents the feminine aspect.
Okay.
In the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sandalphon is female, is a feminine energy. Now he manifests it manifested in the world as Eliyahu coming in the form of a man. Like we said earlier, that both men and women have both of these aspects to them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was always wondering, why is it that Eliyahu, why can't he come as a woman? What's the big deal? Like,
Yeah.
I think, is there too much misogyny so they wouldn't accept a woman? That's not true. There were plenty of matriarchal, religions and societies at that time. They worshiped goddesses, right? And the Shekhinah is portrayed as something feminine, and also we had Devorah. She was the leader. Nobody had an issue with that. I think she ruled Israel longer than anybody, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or at least she was up there in the top three at least.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think she was the longest individual to actually rule Israel. So I don't think that we have a problem accepting women as leaders. That's not the question. So remember, and this is just my thought now, and we kind of touched upon this. We were talking about how in the Shvirat HaKelim, in the pre-Genesis universes, it was the feminine aspect of the kings of Edom, right? The quote, which means the Sfirot, right? It was the Malchut of all the different Sfirot. Because you know how each Sphira has its own like set of Sfirot?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the feminine aspect which fell, whatever that means. It something happened to it. It needed a rectification. It wasn't, and we talked about that. Remember, like when Adam was picturing what Eve was like, and Eve was picturing what Adam was like.
Yeah.
When they were still back to back, they were still like one entity, right?
Yeah.
This is before God separated them and then introduced them to each other. So, so Adam had a certain immature view of what Eve was going to be like, or what she is like. So where did he get this immature idea? Like, what was his example? Like, it must have already existed, because he didn't have a Yetzer Hara, so he's not going to create some kind of like, porny, vision in his mind. Like, there's no Yetzer Hara. Why would he do that? So it must have been an echo, a memory from the previous universes when the feminine aspect had fallen. So there was something not right with the feminine aspect from the previous universes. And then, so anyway, so perhaps.
By the way, can you hear me now? I just switched to headphones. I just want to make sure.
I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, that means people can hear me.
Perhaps Eliyahu is coming, even though he is, his consciousness is a feminine entity, a feminine type archangel named Sandalphon, but he comes to the world on missions, which is involved in the rectification process. And perhaps he comes in the male aspect because the feminine aspect has fallen. You understand?
Yeah.
Perhaps that's why he comes as a male, because he does his female. There's something that's still being worked on. It's a work in progress. I'm just putting thoughts together. I don't know. I mean, these things might be related somehow. I mean, they're definitely related.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just gotta be careful how you put them together. So I'm not exactly sure if I'm doing that right, but
I mean that's all well and good what you're saying, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, why does Mashiach need an announcer? Like, we keep hearing this guy is going to come and announce the arrival of Mashiach. Why does Mashiach need to be announced?
Okay, so obviously he's way more than an announcer. Okay. He represents the feminine aspect itself, which in a lot of ways is actually the tachlis, right? The rectification and the final completion of the feminine aspect is the tachlis. That's what we're all working towards. We're all construction workers on the job site. And the tachlis, the finished product, is going to be a rectified feminine aspect. And that's, you ever heard that expression, first in thought, but last in deed?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
the finished product is all the way at the very, very end. Okay. And so what does it mean? Why does Eliyahu announce Mashiach's coming? Because perhaps he's excited. Because Mashiach is supposed to come and finish off the job. Like there's something, he takes all the work that we've ever done, all the good work that we've ever done to build this place, and he finishes it off. He helps us to complete the project. And completing the project equals rectifying the feminine aspect. Okay? And so Eliyahu is very excited about that. So he's like, oh, he's finally coming. He's going to come and then, and obviously Eliyahu is related to the feminine aspect. Right? Because when you like in the writings of the RE, you have this idea of the name 45, which comes to rectify the name 52. Okay? So Zer Anpin comes to sweeten the gevurot of Nukwa, of Nuk. These are all just synonymous expressions.
Yeah.
What's interesting is we have the name 72, right? All the way on the top, right? Yud Vav Daled, Hey Yud, Vav Yud Vav, Hey Yud. That's the name 72. Okay, corresponds to Atzilut. Then you have the name 63, which is Yud Vav Daled, Hey Yud, Vav Aleph Vav, Hey Yud. That's the name 63. See, there's a pattern developing, 72, 63, right? Like the first digit is decreasing, but the second digit is increasing. Now, I don't know what this pattern means, but there's a pattern being established. Okay, so what should be the next one in this pattern? So you have, it should be like 50, 54, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking right? I'm a little tired.
I think so, yeah. I think so. Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
54, okay. And then the next one is 45, right? In this pattern.
We just had 45. Oh, no.
72, 63.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about going by nines? It's 54, yeah.
And 45.
54,
No,
54 and 45, yeah. Correct.
that's right. Like the left column of digits is decreasing and the right column of digits is increasing, right?
Yeah.
So basically that pattern has to kind of like be fixed. Right now it's kind of, you see the pattern, the last two names, right? The name 45 and the name 52, they kind of like break the pattern. And somehow the name 45 is supposed to come and fix the pattern, whatever that pattern means. Okay. Yeah. So it's supposed to elevate 52 somehow, and then take its place somehow. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but this idea definitely exists that the name 45, which 45 is Adam, right? Which is also Zeranpin, which is also Metatron, comes to, and which also corresponds to the world of Yetzirah, okay?
Mhm.
It comes to help the name 52, which is Malchus, which is Asiya, which is Sandalphon, which is Eliyahu. Okay, it helps in that process. So Eliyahu, you could think of Eliyahu as the world, as our world, as the Dira B'Tachtonim, perhaps.
Yeah.
He's essential to it. He's not just a hype man. Okay, and he's a constant in our entire throughout history. He's been a constant, even before he came and manifested as Eliyahu. Remember, he was Pinchas before that. Okay, same
Yeah.
neshama.
Yeah. That I heard about. Yeah.
So these things have so he's always been with us in this project. Okay, and so. And why, what, you know, and if you think about it, it's always Eliyahu HaNavi, right? So there's other things that we know Eliyahu for. He comes for Pesach, right? And he comes to every bris, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Every time that somebody needs to be revealed some really heavy duty Torah stuff, right? What do we call it? Gilui Eliyahu.
Interesting.
Right?
Really? I didn't know that.
Ari, the Ari,
Mhm.
he was taught his knowledge from Eliyahu HaNavi directly, and then he related it
Yeah.
to Rabbi Chaim.
Discovering Eliyahu. Yeah.
Yosef Karo had Gilui Eliyahu.
Mhm.
Rabbi Yosef Karo.
Mhm.
So he is a staple throughout history. He is the primary messenger.
Mhm.
Okay, going back and forth all the time. Okay, he's our buddy.
Mhm.
You could think he is us.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, maybe he's like the foreman of the construction site.
Huh.
Yeah? I don't know. I mean, he has a lot of
funny.
jobs.
Right? There's an amazing painting that I just Googled Eliyahu HaNavi, and then I went to images in Google, and there's an amazing painting by Zalman Kleinman, Eliyahu HaNavi. It's like a what?
Forget
It's on the
forget
It's on the Chabad web. It's funny. It's on the Chabad web.
Zalman Kleinman. I wanted to say, is he Jewish? Because I was making a corny.
It's on the Chabad website. I'll send it to you in. Can you see this in the chat in the Zoom chat? Chabad.org.
I see it. Yeah, I see it.
So it's like this looks like a famous. It's like I guess it's a famous painting because it's on different websites. Yeah, there's a whole Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson gave a whole shir how to see Eliyahu HaNavi in the night of Pesach. Actually, there's a rabbi, what's his name? Nir Ben Artzi. I don't know if you ever heard of him in Israel. He's kind of like people think he's tapped into something. He actually helped the army with telling them we're like terrorists, we're going to do attacks, that kind of thing.
All right.
And then when COVID hit, he basically said that during COVID it's just like April 2020. He's like, we're gonna see Eliyahu HaNavi. He's gonna, for some families or people who want to see him, he's gonna appear for them, something like that. So
Lucky
I'm trying to
family.
figure out what.
Lucky families.
Yeah, in Israel, I don't know about the. Yeah, see, one year the Kotzker Rebbe promised us Hasidim that Eliyahu HaNavi would be revealed at a Seder. On the first night of Passover, Rebbe's dining room was crammed with Hasidim. The air was electric with anticipation and excitement. The Seder progressed. The cup of Eliyahu was filled and door opened. What happened next left the Hasidim speechless. Nothing happened. There was no one there. The Hasidim were crushed. After all, the Rebbe had promised them revelation of Eliyahu. The Kotzker, his face radiating with holy joy, perceived their bitter disappointment. and inquired as to what was the problem. He told them, fools. They told him, and then fools, he thundered. Do you think the Eliyahu HaNavi comes in through the door? Eliyahu comes in through the heart. It says, true light of redemption comes from within. Miracles provide inspiration and cause us to direct our attention and efforts to spiritual truths. The ultimate miracle, however, is not the abrogation of nature, but the transformation of the natural into the godly. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories of Rebbeim messing with Hasidim.
Basically messing with our heads. We're trying to get us, it's like somebody's like, like a group of people, taking ayahuasca. And one guy goes, do you see that, man? And everybody's like, no. And one of them's like, yeah, man. No, he doesn't see it. It's like messing with our heads, whatever.
Yeah. I would have been, I was like, yeah, the heart. All right, when are we gonna see this guy? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right. And they'd be like, the rabbi would be like, oh, you fools. I'd be like, punch him in the face.
No.
I wouldn't. It's like, where did you lead us? Yeah. To nothing. You led us to nothing.
There's another story, which it's kind of a sweet story, but it bugs me. So there's a story where I think that's involved with the Baal Shem Tov, and he was speaking to someone, and I'm not exactly sure how they came to this conversation, but he's like, if you want to see Eliyahu, then go to this place, go to that house, like, somewhere in the village over the hill, right? This lonely hut where there's a widow there with her child, right?
Yeah.
And spend Shabbos. Okay, right? And so he's going there and he's bringing some Shabbos gifts, like stuff you bring wine, or you bring some whatever. He brought some stuff, and he knocked on the door, and he's like, the Baal Shem Tov told me to come stay with you on Shabbos, and I brought you some of these things. He's like, okay, thank you very much. He went in there, and he saw how that she was dirt poor, like everybody was dirt poor, but she was really dirt poor, and that stuff that he brought, that he thought were just like gifts, whatever, that ended up being the meal. That's right?
Funny. No.
So they spent Shabbos, and Eliyahu never showed up. So he was very obviously crestfallen. So he spoke to the Baal Shem Tov again, and he said, I didn't see Eliyahu. I mean, what happened? He goes, he said, then the point of the story is that anybody who does the work of Eliyahu is Eliyahu.
Interesting.
Which is beautiful. It is. It's beautiful. It really is. And it's true. But it's very annoying. Right?
Yes, it's super
annoying. Know it.
It sounds like something from Nachlaot or Tzfat. Everyone who does the work of Eliyahu is Eliyahu. Or you're all Mashiach. We're all Mashiach.
Yeah.
Terrible. Something, I'm telling you, it's just something out of like a drum circle on a Thursday night in Nachlaot.
If he would have said, if the Baal Shem Tov would have said something like, listen, look, the closest you're going to get to Eliyahu is by engaging in Eliyahu activities. You can help him. Okay? Yeah. You can be an extension of Eliyahu, but you can't meet Eliyahu because your face will burn off.
Yeah.
Okay? Because a revelation of Eliyahu will burn your face off.
That's legit. Like I would accept that.
I would not accept that.
Really? Why not?
Didn't you see the Lost, what was it, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Oh, when you open the thing and then the Nazi melted.
You want that? You want that to happen to you?
No, I know. Meaning, I can accept that excuse. I wouldn't. That's why I would like.
Oh, okay.
I can't
Okay.
accept that. I can't accept my face
No.
melting off.
No, I don't like the face melting thing. So,
Yeah.
I'll hold off on that meeting.
Yeah.
When it's safer, whatever. Yeah. So, if that, I would accept that. That would be like, all right, I guess that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul Shem Tov.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul
Shem
Tov.
And then he's like, you got it.
And then he points like his finger like, you got it. And he's like,
Yeah.
and then he runs away quickly on the lake.
And then he's
Walks
just
on
freeze
water.
frame. No.
Yeah. Oh,
What I say, the guy says, thanks, Baal Shem Tov. And then Baal Shem Tov says, you got it. And then freeze frame as the credits roll.
And then the credits roll. And then you see like director, Magna Mesrich, producer, Shneur Zalman of Liadi.
There's a joke.
Godlike Productions.
You just reminded me of a joke that Norm Macdonald says a lot.
Of course I
And
did.
it's not his joke. It's not his joke.
Okay.
He's doing it's another comedian's joke. And if only I could remember the comedian's name.
Okay.
Because he was a good dude. But okay, I'll get that. But the comedian's like this. He's like, me and my mother were watching Wild Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were looking at it, it said, directed by Wolfgang Bauer,
Uh-huh.
produced by Wolfgang Bauer. My mom looks at me and says, you suppose that's the same?
I think I heard that. That's really bad.
You suppose that no, you obviously got to hear Norm Macdonald do that.
Yeah.
You suppose that's the same?
So back to
all right, let's stop messing around.
Anyway, so back to this whole so like, okay, you told me all these things, as we say, things and stuff. Again,
I didn't say
what
stuff. It was coherent.
There was a lot. No, that it's coherent. I don't mean, but there's a lot of things and a lot of stuff. But it still doesn't answer the question: why does Mashiach need? Why does it need to happen that? Why does Eliyahu need to come before Mashiach? What's the purpose?
Because okay. All right, let's use E.T. as a mashal. Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good one to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
If you recall the movie, right? It's like he towards the end of the movie he got really sick, right? And he was connected to this flower,
mm-hmm.
right? Remember the flower was dying when he was getting really, really sick. E.T., right?
Okay.
He's connected to the flower. So by looking at the flower, you could tell how E.T. was doing, right?
Yeah.
So let's say the flower is the world, the project we're all working on. Okay, and let's say E.T. is Eliyahu.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for this metaphor. So when you see the flower getting better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's indicative of what's happening. Okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
when Eliyahu comes and says Mashiach is coming. That's not because he was, it's not because he got a text message. It's because Eliyahu is connected to this aspect of creation,
Mm-hmm.
and he can see its health, right? So so he knows that, he's like, oh, he's about to come. He's about to come. We're so close. That's it. It's never been this close before. He's about to come. So Eliyahu can because he's E.T., right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows how the flower is doing, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that's why he comes. It's not like he's not like necessarily sent. Well, this is my thinking. I obviously, again, take this with a grain of salt, but because he's so connected to our
Mhm.
realm, all its affairs,
Mhm.
then obviously he would be the one who can sense the completion.
Mhm.
Right? Who would be better suited to come and let us know the status of the project?
Yeah.
He's tied into it.
Can I read something from this website called Sikhos in English? The largest repository of the teachings of Lubavitch in English. You know about this website?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
SIE.org.
Yeah.
There's a tradition that Eliyahu HaNavi will come before Mashiach to inform the world of the advent of Mashiach. Is this showing of Eliyahu a mandatory prerequisite for Mashiach? The Talmud relates, once Rabbi Yeshua met Mashiach and asked him, "When are you going to come?" Mashiach replied, "Today." Rabbi Yeshua then met Eliyahu, who asked him, "What did Mashiach tell you?" Said Rabbi Yeshua, "He lied to me, for he told me that he was coming today, but he didn't come." Eliyahu said, "He didn't lie, but this is what he really meant. He will come today if you hearken to the voice of Hashem." Maharsha explains that if Mashiach comes today, we assume that Eliyahu came yesterday to the Supreme Beis Din in Tveria. Another explanation is that if we merit and Mashiach comes sooner before the appointed time, he may then come on his own before the revelation of Eliyahu. This is presented in Kraiti Uplaiti by Rabbi Yonasan Eibshas that you mentioned. Rambam posits that it is not a certainty that Eliyahu must come before Mashiach, although some sages maintain that before the advent of Mashiach, Eliyahu will appear, yet there is no definite basis for this. This poses a difficulty, kasha, inasmuch as the Talmud states that Eliyahu will come first, and is seen in Tanakh, "Behold, I send unto you Eliyahu HaNavi." How do we reconcile these two statements regarding the coming of Eliyahu? The answer is seen in the timing of Mashiach, as Talmud cites the verse, "In its time will I hasten it." If Jews do not merit, Mashiach will come in his appointed time, but if they merit, then Mashiach will come sooner in haste. Rambam holds that there is an order in the coming of Mashiach, that Eliyahu comes first to foretell of his coming. This, however, is effective only when Mashiach comes in his appointed time. When the Jews merit and the redemption is hastened, as expressed in "He is leaping over the mountains, skipping over the hills," then God then changes the order as a sign of his love for the Jewish merits and good deeds. This is expressed in the Rambam's concise words. The sages note that Eliyahu comes first to convey the news of Mashiach, yet this is not definite. For perhaps God will have mercy and bestow his Holy Spirit upon the Jews to serve him with a full heart, then he will swiftly bring Mashiach without the need for Eliyahu's message. So basically what they're saying is like the era that we live in, it seems like it's trying to be hastened, I guess. And we won't even need Eliyahu.
The era that we live in,
or it's in its time.
We are way past.
It's innocent. Oh, we're past. Okay, fine. So we need Eliyahu. Okay.
It would seem that, yeah. It would seem that Eliyahu. I think I heard Manis Friedman say, and I don't know if I agree with him, but it could be that some aspect of it might be true, that the Rebbe was Eliyahu.
That could be it, since he was talking about Mashiach all the time, and you say he's like a Mashiach expert, and he has the biggest writings about Mashiach, and he's announcing that we're in the time of Mashiach, and he's just obsessed with the whole idea to the point where people thought he was Mashiach. But
so
it could be that he was just Eliyahu.
Well,
or as you say, doing the work of Eliyahu.
Yeah. Right. So we had that story to explain to us that Eliyahu could be the one doing the work of Eliyahu. If you recall in that book that I was telling you about, Rabbi Pinchas Winston, right?
Yes, correct.
He wrote a book. Oh man, if I can. Let's see if I can plot it.
Oh, Yula Barachim, you're talking about?
No.
I'll tell you. Here, hold on. Online bookstores. Is the author of over 50 books?
In English. It has like a blue cover. It's an English book. I forgot the name. It's a blue cover.
Let's see.
It has the word scenario in
it. Has the word what?
Scenario.
What's the word? Hold on.
Scenario.
Like what's the scenario? Here we go. Not just another scenario.
That's the one.
Oh, I want to buy this book. Oh my God, why is it so expensive? Dear Lord, $100 on Amazon. What is this?
I found it.
Holy
I
fuck.
paid $12 for it in
Oh my
New
God.
Orleans at Kosher Cajun.
Kosher Cajun. It sounds
Yeah,
like
that's
every time I
what
hear
it's called.
Cajun, I think of that alligator from I Guarantee, the Turtles.
Yeah,
Kosher Cajun. So it's like him with like a kippah.
yeah.
Kosher Cajun. There's 3 U's for $40. Dear Lord, these people are like selling Bitcoin over here.
All right, but here we go.
Anyway,
Here in that book, right, scenario
Mhm.
that he puts forth, which is based on, which is a kosher scenario based on Chazal, right? It can't happen that way. So you have a Baal Tshuva named Eliyahu. I think his name was Eliyahu. He's the main character of the book,
Mhm.
and he wrote a blog which became very, very popular, and the whole Jewish world read his blog.
Interesting.
And he would teach people about, Torah, Mashiach, about the Parsha, all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then he met this mysterious old rabbi in Yerushalayim, and only at the end do we find out. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. This rabbi is Mashiach. Okay. And he said, and the rabbi was explaining to him that he is performing the role of Eliyahu. He's not Eliyahu, because in the book, the character thought, "Are you trying?" He was like, he got all excited. He's like, "Are you telling me I'm Eliyahu?" And the rabbi was like, "No, you're not Eliyahu."
By the way,
But-
they came out with there's the ebook part 2, just another scenario 2. But anyway, go on.
Really?
Yes. See, it says the first version of was sold out twice. It was written in response to another Moshiach novel. It was based on authoritative sources. As he's talking about the first one, and then when terrorists attacked the Twin Towers on September 11th, it seemed more real than fiction. Not just another scenario 2. Is the same kind of book, except the storyline has changed to keep with current events of the day. Oh, so this is like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So in that book, obviously, Rabbi Winston was creating a scenario where the person who was doing, who was heralding Mashiach, this Baal Tshuva named Eliyahu, was a shliach of Eliyahu, whose name is also Eliyahu. So it can. So I suppose if you could have something like that. If you take it into account the stories of Eliyahu from the Hasidim and all those. Like if you do the work of Eliyahu, then you are Eliyahu. Yeah. So perhaps something like that. But here I learned something which knocked my socks off today that I had never heard. So apparently, Rabbi Label Groner.
Yes, I met him once at the Simchas Torah in Crown Heights.
I was privileged to meet him once. He gave me the Lubavitcher Rebbe sitter to daven with.
Well,
before my wedding, because I had my chuppah at 770.
Wow.
So
amazing. Wow, I didn't know that.
So Rabbi Groner, he had said, speaking to the Rebbe, the Rebbe said that Mashiach doesn't know who he is until the very, very, very last moment.
Wow. Really? So how come we keep hearing from people that Mashiach is working and like he's like a regular family guy, like in Israel, but he's working at nights, doing what he's doing now?
I don't know what those stories, but I could tell you what I learned from people who study the sources, like Rabbi Bakst, for instance, and Rabbi Kessin. Mashiach. So they're referring to Mashiach in the role of Mashiach ben Yosef.
Yeah.
So Mashiach ben Yosef is three things simultaneously.
Mhm.
Metatron, I know, bomb, right?
Yeah.
And Mashiach ben Yosef can also be a group of entities.
Yeah.
Okay. He could be like a cloud or a network of people, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who is doing the work of Mashiach ben Yosef, which is rebuilding the land of Israel, bringing people closer to the Torah. There's a couple of other things. Let me see if I can find it. I think I have.
By the way, I just ordered this book on Abe Books. If they haven't used from this Bookensteins in Las Vegas, so I just ordered that
Buchenstein?
book in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah. I ordered it. They used whatever. It's in good condition. Not just another scenario. Should be good Shabbos reading.
I have a description here in this book. It's called Beyond Kabbalah, the Teachings That Cannot Be Taught, Preparing for the Messianic Era and Beyond, Rabbi Joel David Bax. So just a moment. Just a moment. I think I might have. Here it is. All right. Okay. Okay. Mashiach ben Yosef, there's three aspects that. Okay, so this is. I'm just going to read directly from the text. Okay.
Okay.
I have written about Mashiach ben Yosef at length in the secret doctrine of the Gaon of Vilna. That's the title of another one of his books. But the following can be used as a rule of thumb. Mashiach ben Yosef manifests on three different levels. Number one, Mashiach ben Yosef is a meta-archetype and all-encompassing collective consciousness that networks a vast matrix of smaller and distinct, yet interdependent archetypal processes. These can remain on their collective root level, and or they can also manifest in the form of number two and number three, which we're going to discuss below. This is type one right now. So an archetype in Torah literature can also be known as an archangel, such as Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. In this case, however, Mashiach ben Yosef is the meta-archangel known throughout the Talmud, including the standard commentaries of Rashi and Tosfot, Midrash and the Zohar as Metatron. I'll read that again. In this case, however, Mashiach ben Yosef is the meta-archangel known throughout the Gemara, throughout Rashi and Tosfot, Midrash and Zohar as Metatron. In spite of the initial strangeness of this concept, Metatron plays a critical role in the Gaons, the Vilna Gaons, Kabbalah, and especially throughout his book Kol HaTorah. Talk about that.
Yeah.
So Mashiach ben Yosef is an actual individual. That's okay. So here's level two. That was level one. Now level two. Mashiach ben Yosef is an actual individual who exists in each and every generation. So this is the deeper meaning of the verse. The verse says the tzaddik is the foundation channel, the yesod in Hebrew, of the world. One more time. The tzaddik is the yesod of the world. That's from
Tzaddik Yesod Olam.
Yeah, that's from Mishlei, chapter 10, verse 25. Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 25. So how, where, and in what role he or she will manifest, this is Rabbi Bax, right? Is dependent upon a multitude of factors. The ability, however, to evolve from a potential to a fully actualized Mashiach ben Yosef in union with the aspects of Mashiach ben David depends upon the collective merit of humanity. especially that of the nation of Israel. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3, Mashiach ben Yosef is any collective group, men or women, who are involved in the specific activities of Mashiach ben Yosef, namely returning to the land of Israel, including its expansion and rebuilding, learning and dissemination of Torah, and for the Torah scholar, mastery of the Kabbalah and scientific knowledge. An individual's mission is then considered as a cell in the larger body of Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, I heard from other rabbis. I think I'm thinking of Rabbi David Katz, who also speaks about Mashiach ben Yosef pretty often, saying that he can be I'm trying to remember exactly what he said.
I heard a lot of people who posited that Rabbi Kahana, blessed memory, could have been Mashiach ben Yosef.
Yeah, there's a lot. This guy was Mashiach ben Yosef. That guy was Mashiach ben Yosef.
Rav Kook could have been.
Ariel Bar Tzadok, he thinks that the secular Jew found in Israel is Mashiach.
That's Rav Kook was talking about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right. So it's all of this. These are not contradictions.
Correct.
Everybody doing Mashiach ben Yosef's job could be Mashiach. So if you think about it like this, imagine like you have like sort of like a cloud of like drones, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how have you ever seen those videos where they make the drones, they synchronize them, and they all do the exact same thing?
Yeah.
Amazing, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could have like you could picture like you have like groups and individuals kind of like spread out, and they're kind of like operating in this like cloud in hyperspace, right?
Yeah.
And they're doing the work, and they're synchronized, and everybody's working towards the same goal, right? And then, but at will, this cloud can collapse and condense into an individual. It's a it has this kind of fluidity, right? You could have an individual who can then automatically just become a bunch of individuals, and then, or he can become a bunch of different organizations.
Yeah.
So, and the amount of either individuals or collection of entities that comprise Mashiach ben Yosef, I heard there's a number associated with it.
Yeah.
156, because I'm assuming that's
interesting.
The Gematria of Yosef.
Interesting.
This is what I've heard this.
Yeah.
So Mashiach ben Yosef, he doesn't necessarily have to come as an individual, right? In certain, there's a potential for him to manifest as an individual if necessary. But but Mashiach ben David is an individual.
Yeah.
Absolutely, no question, has to be. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it's fluid for Mashiach ben Yosef.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, so Eliyahu, right? What's interesting is that I think Eliyahu is associated with Mashiach ben David more so than Mashiach ben Yosef.
That's the impression I get. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it seems like there's a big similarity between our description here of Mashiach ben Yosef and Eliyahu, no? I mean, there's a connection. There's obviously
Ben Yosef has a similar job, I guess.
Right. But we said that Mashiach ben Yosef is the archangel Metatron, right? In the root of his consciousness, right?
Yeah.
But he also said that Sandalphon is the underside of Metatron. So they're like one entity.
Interesting.
Okay. So you could think of it as that Eliyahu is related to the feminine aspect that's related to Metatron, which is the male aspect. Okay, so
Yeah.
Okay, and so there is obviously a connection there. Okay, because like we said, Sandalphon is Eliyahu, right? There's something going on there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not crazy. I don't think I'm crazy. There's definitely something going on. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not exactly sure.
Sounds
We'll
like
put pieces
sounds like
together
Joker. I'm not crazy. I'm not
here. No,
crazy.
no. So
I'm not.
okay, so
Enough from the clown. Anyway.
from that guy.
Hughes, pretty
from
soon you won't be able to get a nickel for your grandma.
sounds like Schmeiden and Schmaltzy.
Oh yeah, and Schmenet. He kind of looks like the Joker, but from Jack Nicholson. But anyway.
Yeah. Yep. Best Joker in my opinion, but that's beside the point.
What, Jack Nicholson?
Yeah.
Nicholson is great. He could just play the same personage in every movie, and yet it somehow seems like that personage, which is the same across the board, is indigenous to that movie. Same thing goes for Al Pacino.
Dude,
It's the
I don't
same.
know,
It's
man.
the same guy.
I think that Nicholson really outdid himself. I've seen him in other movies, and I think the closest that he came, like there's two characters that remind me that he played. The one from Anger Management and the Joker. Like that was both these like they're crazy people, like hilariously crazy, you know.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite part of the Joker,
Yeah.
he had a sense of humor, and it was a silly sense of humor. It wasn't like, the modern Jokers, kind of like, sardonic sense of humor. It was, for instance, like in the last scene when Michael Keaton, that idiot, was fighting, with the Joker up in the, on the top of the church, right?
Yeah.
And then, and he's obviously beating him up because the Joker is an old man, right?
Yeah.
People forget that, right?
Yeah.
Because he's Jack Nicholson, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like Jack Nicholson, he whips out a pair of glasses, he puts it on, he goes, "You wouldn't hit a guy with glasses, would you?"
Yeah. I remember that scene. He's like, I don't give a damn.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, enough fooling around. Back to the subject. So,
Yes.
basically, who's Eliyahu? What is he doing? Is it possible? I have a question. Which might be a statement, but it's mainly a question. Could the same person be both Eliyahu and David Amel? Mashiach ben David. Because remember, Mashiach ben David doesn't know who he is until the very last moment.
Yeah.
Okay? And if Eliyahu can be a role that somebody plays rather than the angel himself, but Mashiach ben David cannot be a shliach. He has to be the guy.
Yeah.
Right? So it's possible. Here's even a deeper question. And then you might want to have Rabbi Weisberg on to answer this question.
It's a
Talk about it.
He's the neighbor of my friend and business partner in Muncie. But anyway, go on.
Okay, so you have a connection. You should definitely have him on because he hasn't been on in a long time.
Yeah, he's been like incognito.
Yeah. So you could ask him, can Mashiach ben Yosef also be Mashiach ben David? Preview, the answer is yes, but you'll talk about it. But with that in mind, can I read you something?
Sure.
This is from Rabbi Bax. from that text that we mentioned, beyond Kabbalah.
Mhm.
So there's this concept of the twin messiahs. Okay. So can I read from the text?
Yeah, please.
Mashiach ben Yosef is a complex subject, yet it is only one half of a larger picture. The other half, which is more familiar, is Mashiach ben David, King Mashiach, or simply the Mashiach. Together, they are known in the Zohar and in the Gaon's teachings as the Train Mashiachim, which is the Aramaic term for the two or the twin messiahs. So Mashiach ben Yosef can only be understood together with its complementary force of Mashiach ben David. It is the synergistic union or antagonism between these two cosmological forces that form the hidden landscape upon which the drama of the Messianic era and path of redemption takes place. Now, the two messiahs act in dynamic partnership with each other and assist each other. They live and exist in each and every generation. Mashiach ben Yosef is the secret of, quote, Yosef lives on, old Yosef high, right? And Mashiach ben David is the secret of David, King of Israel, lives forever. David Melech Israel, So although they operate in their own individual roles, each one is dependent upon the other, and they influence each other according to each one's unique characteristics. Now, why two messiahs? Why any Mashiach at all? What's the point? What is the purpose of a Mashiach?
Yeah.
So the Mashiach is an individual who is responsible for and spearheads collective tikkun. Tikkun means rectification, mending, or purification sometimes. On a deeper level, tikkun also refers to a process of elevation and transmutation. Whereas the second definition implies taking something that is already complete into a more refined state. The first definition implies that something has been broken or become torn, in which case the immediate goal is only to return it to its original state of completion. These are the two processes or modes of tikkun. So I'm going out of the text now. So Rabbi Kessin talks about it. He says that that when Adam was brought to the world, right? He was the Mashiach.
Huh.
So the question is, Mashiach of what? So this is where we can really go have fun with this topic, in relation to what Rabbi Bar Tzadok says, but we'll save that. But we're just going to focus on the idea that at first you didn't need a Mashiach ben Yosef because God, he already did most of the fixing. So we talked about this issue, the Shvirat HaKelim, right? And the death of the Edomite kings, right? Same idea, right?
Yeah.
And then so after that, God began rectifying the destruction from the previous world. And that's what the 6 days of creation are about when you read in chapter 1. And then to finish it off, right, he brought Adam to finish off that rectification. Essentially, God created Adam in a world that was already completed. God had completed the world. It was put back together. So what was Adam doing there? Because it was completed, but in Olam Haba, in God's world, there's always elevation. So you could take something that is complete in a relative state of perfection, and you can elevate it. Okay, you can extract more perfection out of that perfection. And that's going to be the nature of Olam Haba, where we're going to move from one state of perfection to the other. I mean, I don't know what any of that means. I don't know I really don't, can't picture it, but I can understand the concepts, right? Okay, one state of perfection but you can improve it. You can improve upon it.
Yeah.
So that's what Adam was supposed to do. So Adam, when he originally showed up, that's what his job was. And that became known later as Mashiach ben David. That's what Mashiach ben David comes to do.
Yeah.
And Mashiach ben Yosef, he comes, see, there wasn't a need for Mashiach ben Yosef before the incident with the tree, right?
Yeah.
So what happened was when Adam and Chava made that error, right, quote unquote error, it shattered the world that God had just finished creating.
When they made that error, was there like a noise that said like error?
Yes, there was.
Like a little robot that just came out and like did that.
Remember, like a French robot.
So,
right. So basically, but because when they made that decision, it created another shvira, another shattering. This time, this newly reconstructed world. So now you created a new job, right? You got to bring the world back to its state of completion. So that's Mashiach ben Yosef. Mashiach ben Yosef is a new job. So why do we call it Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef? So I think it's because the people who came closest to finishing the job so far, the office, the job itself gets named after them. That's my theory. So Joseph he did tremendous rectifications. Remember, every time we're reading the Chumash or Navi or anything in Tanakh, what you're reading is an attempt to bring Mashiach and to finish and to complete the whole, to finish the story. They were trying to do it. Of course. They weren't waiting around for the end. They were. That's what you're reading about. Every conversation is all about that. So if you look at the first rectification attempt, or possibly the second, I'm not sure, of Cain and Hevel, right? What does it say? Look at the wording. The wording is like, when they were bringing the offerings to God, right? They were bringing, and it said in the end of days, right? Kate Hayamim, correct?
Yeah.
Why did it say that? Right? What do you mean the end of days? It looked like, didn't God just create the universe?
For sure.
Early stage. But to them, it was the end because it was supposed to be, because that's where they were trying, because they had an opportunity to do that. It didn't work out.
There was many moments like that. Yeah.
There are many moments like that. You know what was amazing? There was a moment like that. There's many moments in the story with Abraham, but also before that too. But I was kind of like shocked. I never really paid attention to it. Remember when Abraham, he went to war, and then he brought back the hostages that were taken, and they were the citizens of Sodom, I'm pretty sure. And he gave them. He didn't hold on to them. He let them.
Yeah.
He let them go back to the city. And that was, I believe that was a missed opportunity. It's not my belief. I'm saying I think I learned that. Because what happened to those souls later? Right? And what's the big deal? Why did Torah spend so much ink on the story with Sodom? Well, that was a missed opportunity.
Well, we see now that it's relevant. We look around us. Sodom is very relevant. Sodom didn't stop.
Besides that, not just the idea of Sodom or the repeating of the mistakes of Sodom. I'm talking about those neshamas at that time. Those are sparks.
Why? Yeah.
Perhaps Abraham had the ability to elevate. If he didn't give them back to the king of Sodom, and he would have kept them and worked on them. And so that was like a missed opportunity. another missed opportunity that perhaps not everybody is familiar with when Esav and Yaakov meet. Remember the meeting after
Yeah.
many years, and he hides Dinah. Yaakov hides Dinah from Esav, and during that meeting, there was a potential for Esav to do tshuva because Yaakov he wrestled with the angel before that meeting. Remember?
Yeah.
That angel was Esav's Yetzer Hara. See, Esav had it pretty rough. He gets a bad rap, almost deservedly, but also you also have to kind of think like, how would you do in his shoes? I wouldn't fare very well because my Yetzer Hara is like literally like, I need I need massive assistance and a support team,
Same.
just not to do
If
like
you need assistance, then I need to become like Hannibal Lecter
we're not doing well here.
and just
Okay?
and just be put in the and I'll be sitting in the thing. Hello, good morning, Clarice. Good morning.
Yeah.
Would you like some
I'm just
Chianti and fava beans?
ate his liver with a side of fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Yes.
So
That'll be
basically, we all have like little fractal mini Yetzer Haras, right? You know who Esav's Yetzer Hara was?
Who Esav Yetzer Hara was?
Yeah, his Yetzer Hara was Satan. His Yetzer Hara was the Satan himself.
Oh,
They're not
that's crazy. That's crazy.
All right, we have like a little, we have like a little mini,
Yeah. I should call
like
him
mini
you. Okay.
Yeah, but Satan, but Esav, his Yetzer Hara was the Satan, and for good reason because Esav had potentially. Esav was incredibly powerful. You could ask Rabbi Kessin about.
Yep. Well, yeah, no.
potential
Rabbi Kessin said that Esav had the opportunity to be both, like,
Mashiach.
to have the spirituality of Yaakov. They could have been a team, him and Yaakov, and spirituality and physicality. What Yaakov didn't have.
Yeah, remember we were
Gam.
just reading about the twin messiahs, right?
Yeah.
So Yaakov and Esav were like, they were the guys. That was supposed to be it.
That's this week's parsha, man. Toldot. We're on topic.
Right. So Esav was twice as strong as Yaakov in a certain respect. Okay. So Esav had to be, in terms of his ability to function in this world, right? As it is, he had the koach of tohu. He had the ability to conquer the entire world for holiness, right?
Yeah.
And then rectify it. And then Jacob takes over. Because Jacob was the Moshiach ben David. He was the one. He was the one who was.
But
remember, he was described as sitting in the tents, right? He was.
Yeah.
He was. There was a certain disconnect from the world.
Would you say that the fact that let's say the Christian world, Rome, or the Christian world really physically conquered the entire world and actually did? I mean, they thought that they were rectifying it, but it ended up being a completely, Tumah filled and misguided way of trying to do that. It's almost like Asa.
You got to listen to Rabbi Shimon Kessin's lectures. He talks about it all the time, especially the last lecture.
It's almost like, they knew their power. They knew, Esav knew his power via this, the Holy Roman Empire, the popes and all this. The popes were like the political leaders. We understand that. So that was their attempt, to the point where they wanted to always supplant us, or make us convert. Esav always wanted Yaakov to go to his side.
No, But basically,
Or his way.
basically, the way the function that Christianity served, and in some ways is still serving, is they are doing God's work not consciously.
Correct.
In a certain way, everybody does God's work, whether they realize it or not, right?
Yeah.
So they are not doing what they think they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? God is using them.
So who are these? So here's my question. Like you look today, for example, the evangelical Christians who really love Israel to the point where they love Israel more than some Jews love Israel. What is that a manifestation of? Is that like Asaph coming back? Like what is this?
No, that is Joseph disguised as Esau.
What?
Let me explain.
Yo, some of these Rav Kookniks would stab you if they heard that. That's interesting. Okay, I want to hear this. No, I'm interested to hear this.
I don't think I could tolerate being stabbed by a Rav Kooknik who got the jab.
Some of them did. Well, most of them did. Some of them didn't. You're looking at one who didn't.
So the one that stabs me, I hope he was at least, not jabbed.
Some of them are regretfuls. I know some of them, or regretfuls, but whatever. But I hear you.
So this is not my original ideas. There is a concept of Yosef disguised as Esau, which is related to the idea of Yaakov disguised as Esau, but not this aspect. So check this out. In Tanakh, in the Navi, in the prophets, the lost tribes are called by Yosef. Okay, when the term Yosef is used, it is also a reference to all of the tribes, the quote unquote lost tribes. Because why is that? Because Yosef, the kings of the tribes, the northern tribes, when they split off into their own, they were always from Yosef. They were either from Manasseh or Ephraim. Okay. So you have the royal house of Yosef, and so Yosef, in that sense, represents the lost tribes. Okay.
Yeah.
So now there are statements, and I get all of these ideas from Yair Davidi, who he brings all the sources. I do recommend reading his books, and he also has a great YouTube channel. But I must say that it was personally difficult for me to understand what he says.
Yeah.
For a number one, he is an older gentleman from Australia. He lives in Israel now. He's a Haredi dude, but he's an older gentleman from Australia.
What's
and his cadence when speaking is not. It's not something that I'm familiar. I can't get used to it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one.
What's this guy's name?
Yair Davidi.
Oh, Yair David. Okay, fine.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of eye rolls, from a lot of snooty, people. Okay, but if you read, I have some of his books. If you read it, if you actually listen to what he says,
Joseph, the Israelite Destiny of America. Yeah, I'm looking at that.
Yes. So I agree with most of what he says, most of it. Well, most of what I've heard. Let's say I haven't heard everything that he said, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And it was not easy for me to accept a lot of what he said, because I was kind of like internally, like in my mind when I was growing up and when I was becoming religious, I was kind of like a militant dude. And I had a chip on my shoulder, I'm like, basically, the white Western Christian, I was not happy with it. You know, once you study history and you see what was going on, and to some extent what's still going on, I was not a fan. And then when I learned, of
Can
the
you
possibility-
can you pause for 1 second? I'm sorry, I apologize. Just 1 second.
No
I
problem.
apologize. Hello? Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? Oh, did you hear me
Yeah.
before, or I went because I went on mute?
You went on mute,
Oh, okay.
or you were just really quiet. I couldn't hear.
Oh,
You.
okay. Okay.
All right. So whatever. The point is that when I came across the idea that the Western European countries, including the British Isles, you know, France, like specifically Western and Northern Europe. Okay.
Mhm.
Because remember, people were talking about lost tribes everywhere. They're in Afghanistan and Africa and in Nepal and India, everywhere, right?
Mhm.
And I was, you know, I'm cool with that. I was fine with that. Made sense to me. Native Americans, right? No problem. And I'm still cool with that. I never, you know, it's fine. But I did have a problem with, you know, lost tribes in France. I had a problem with that. I had a problem with
Yeah.
lost tribes in Belgium and Germany and England. Big problem. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because I was racist, I guess. Yeah, I was pretty much like, you know, why am I gonna? I was not racist. That's not the right word. I was, whatever. I was pissed off at white Christians
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
That's very funny.
Yeah. So basically, to make a long story short, too late. It would seem that based on statements from Hazal all over the Gemara, descriptions of the lost tribes, what they look like, what their attributes were, the names of the tribes, the names of the clans, you know, the clans from each
Mhm.
tribe. Their characteristics, the things that they were supposed to have accomplished according to the Navi, right? You know, taking over the world, controlling the gates of your enemies, massive wealth, double portion, all this kind of stuff. None of it, almost none of it, has been fulfilled by the Jews. But the Navi clearly states that it will be fulfilled, and this is pre-Mashiach. Okay, so for a lot of reasons, and also the local histories and the folk history from each one of these regions. If you really get down to it and you study it, these people themselves thought that they were lost tribes. The founding fathers thought that they were they were Ephraimites. Thomas Jefferson sent expeditions to look for his brothers in the tribe of Ephraim.
It's interesting.
They thought that they were lost tribe members. They believed themselves to be of Hebrew origin. So believing yourself to be is one thing, but having like an entire mountain of anecdotal facts, right?
Mhm.
It really starts to add up. It makes you wonder. Okay, so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So basically, he's not saying, so Yair Davidi is not saying that all of Western Europe are lost tribes, but he's saying that significant portions of the population, and especially the most influential, are lost tribes. of
Would he say that the current royal family in England is part of that?
He has videos.
Not
where
that
he
I want
talks
them to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But you know, again, God didn't ask me how to roll this whole thing out. But basically, it's possible. Okay, but we're not really talking about specifically the royals. We're talking about the people.
Mhm.
Okay, so if you look at the symbols of the culture, the ancient symbols, right? You find like stuff like, you know, their crests, the family crests. You'll find like a unicorn and a bull, right? You'll find Egyptian symbology. So when you read the descriptions of Yosef, of the tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, you know, each one had a degel, right? Like a flag, like a standard, right? So one of them had a pyramid because something related to ruling Egypt or what that represented. The other one was a bull, Ephraim, right? And so you have these ideas, these character traits in the British culture, like John Bull, right? That's just like a, you know, like for us, Uncle Sam, they have John Bull.
Yeah.
And they're ancient symbols. Okay. Just piles and piles and piles of this stuff. Also physical descriptions. So Yosef was very fair, as described in the oral tradition, in the Talmud. Okay, he had light skin, light hair, either, I can't remember if it was blonde or ginger. He had light eyes, either blue or green, right? And it wasn't just Yosef. It describes Yehuda. Yehuda kind of looks like us.
Yeah.
Kind of like the olive skinned newcomer.
Yeah.
Right?
Again with this.
So Yehuda is the olive skinned newcomer, and Yosef is Chaz. Okay.
Zapka.
Zapka, exactly. All right. So right, and we don't
Listen,
recognize our own.
listen, Orange Man is orange, and Yosef is depicted. Dude, can I sit here? There's that. You saw the statue of Yosef. Here, Joseph statue that they found in what's it called in Egypt.
It was
artifact.
red hair statue.
Here you go. There's a whole video about this too that they made here.
It's a great documentary. It makes sense.
Yeah. Here.
But basically,
There's an article, Express.uk, matches the Bible. Why multicolored coat discovered in Egypt tomb could be Joseph's. This was like last year. Yeah, they discovered a statue of a high official in Goshen, decorated with what happened to be a multicolored coat, leading them to speculate it could be. Oh Lord, sorry, 1 second. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I have like a friend who just when they text me, they bombard me. You know, it's like strafing.
Yeah.
You know, like airplanes, they strafe. I get strafed. It's like crazy.
So basically, Levi, I think, was considered an albino, almost so fair that he was just like, he looked like, I imagine like he looked like one of the engineers, you know, from Prometheus, you know, like, I don't know, I'm joking, obviously, but no, because the Kahanim were also, they had to, you know, they had to shave all their body hair off the first time.
Yeah. It's like Guido's.
I'm sorry?
It's like Guido's.
No, Guido's, we look more like Guido's.
Yeah.
We are Guido's. We are Brooklyn Guidos.
Hey man, speak for yourself. I'm looking at the engineers from Prometheus. What is this? When did this movie come out? What is this?
Okay, so whatever. It's this whole kind of, don't get into it.
2012.
Don't get Yeah.
Ridley Scott. Interesting. I never saw it. Wow.
It's a part of the Alien universe, you know, Alien.
Yes.
Anyway, so basically, Shimon, which by the way, like, you know, like how the ayin actually has like a sound that nobody uses.
Like Yemenites. The Yemenites use it.
Right. So Shimon. So it's and the Sephardim, the actual Spanish Sephardim, they also used it. So Shema would be Shemang, and Shimon would be Shimongon. It sounds like Samagon.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so Shimon, so Shimon was like, he was kind of like red, You know,
Mhm.
I think the description. Each tribe had their own physical characteristics. I mean, they didn't look completely different from each other. There's also some overlap, but each tribe had very unique characteristics. Dan, the tribe of Dan, okay, they had lots of blondes and lots of ginger people, okay. Gad was described in the Gemara, as far as I understand, or maybe it could be the Mefarshim, the Gemara, as a Nordic, a tall, blonde Viking. That's what he looked like. Okay. So, and by the way, you know what Sweden used to be called? I think we may have mentioned this before.
I mean, in Swedish, it's Sverige.
Gotland.
Oh, okay.
That's how you pronounce Got in Hebrew.
Interesting. I mean, there's Gothenburg, the city.
That's a city, but the actual country, Sweden, used to be Gotland. Anyway,
Gotaland. Gotaland.
You have piles and piles and piles. Oh, here's another one. The Dutch. Some significant portion of the Dutch have a connection to the tribe of Zebulun.
I know that.
Because if you read the description of Zebulun, he's a seafarer. He lives on the coasts. He settles on the coasts. He rules the coastlines. He digs up diamonds. He finds jewels. He profits from his commerce over the sea. And where did the Dutch set up camp? I mean, they're basically like, well, freaking Holland is basically fighting back the ocean just to exist as a country.
Yeah.
And then where else did they go? They went to New York. They went to South Africa. They went to all these coastal areas. They had a lot of colonies. Now, another thing, the original settlers of Holland, they were a tribe, the Sabolim Goy. That's what they call themselves. Sabolim Goy.
Interesting.
Okay, there's a lot. It sounds pretty close to Zebulun, or Goy means nation, right? Anyway, so once you begin to kind of see how the Gemara and and Chazal describe the migrations of the tribes and the time period in which they did these migrations, and then you start to compare it with the the secular historic migrations of the Scythians, moving west, the Caucasus, and that all these migrations to Western Europe, they overlap.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you study the languages. Okay. You study the legends from these people, and even the pagan religions that these European tribes followed were nearly identical to the pagan religions that the lost tribes were worshiping when they got kicked out of Israel.
Yeah, you look at what's it called? You look at Stonehenge and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Celts, they worship Bel.
Yeah.
That sounds
Listen,
really
man.
different.
Listen, man. The question I always had is why the heck, if you've ever looked at the flag of Northern Ireland, what the heck is a Star of David doing in there?
The Star of David, just
what's going on with a hand inside of it?
Not to burst your bubble.
No, I know it's not the thing. It's not whatever. It's not
symbol.
I know, but I understand that. But what the heck is that thing doing there?
Okay, so
the thing that looks like the Magen David.
It goes into sacred geometry. Okay, all geometric shapes, especially the famous ones, were used by all ancient cultures. They understood what these things are. They understood what they meant cosmologically, and they use this information. This is all of this kind of stuff was universal. It's just that what did they use it for? How did they use it? Okay, this ancient sacred geometry knowledge that the
Mhm.
ancients had was like fire or like a knife. You use it as you will. Are you going to use it for evil or are you going to use it for good?
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is universal. But really, the true symbol of the Jewish people in general is the menorah. That's the
Yeah.
real.
That's true.
Like if you're going to have a national symbol, that's what it's
Yeah.
going to be.
That's what the state of Israel. I mean, it's funny because they put the Star of David on the flag, but if you actually, there are some settlers, or like the flag of Yerushalayim will have the menorah with the lion or whatever it is. No, they have the lion and the I think they have the menorah there. Yeah, it's a lion. No, it's a lion. I apologize. It's a lion, but it's like a. Where was the menorah? There's some guys, settlers use the menorah flag instead of the Star of David flag. Actually. Anyway.
So anyway,
yeah.
so the point is, like, you can read his books, you could make your own decisions. To me, it seems like I don't see coincidences. Like, think about where the Jews have been throughout history. Where have they been? Who are they placed with? Who have we been paired with? Who have we spent the most amount of time with? Western Europe, parts of Eastern Europe, also in the Arab countries among Yishmael, okay, where it's not exactly so straightforward that everybody there is a descendant of Yishmael, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why were we put there? Well, hold on. There's something I wanted to say before. So when you're talking about Western Europe, who do you have there? They're both family. Either they are the lost tribes or they're Esav.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like, it seems like what God did was he sent the lost tribes to kind of hook Esav. And then through a historical process of like influencing back and forth and kind of merging, getting connected, then Esav gets dragged back into the family when Mashiach, kind of comes to finish the rectification process. That's my own kind of idea. But the point is that there's no coincidences. Like, why would we be put there with these people? Because they are our brothers. And that's not easy for me to say because I'm full of militant angst. I enjoy being angry at people. I like that. and then when I'm not allowed to be, it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, nevertheless, there it is. It's okay. Now, America is special because it's very interesting. America is likely to be heavily influenced more by the energy of Menashe. Okay. And obviously not everybody in America is descended from Menashe physically, but his energy, his character is all over America, especially his son Machir, which, by the way, America is the Latinized Machir. America Vespucci, right?
Oh, that's
and Machir.
okay.
What is Machir? He's a big Machir, right?
Oh, that's funny.
He was a salesman. He was into commerce. He was into
whose son is this? This is
Menashe.
Menashe's son.
So so and by the way, if you study what the Chazal say about the function, the structure of the governments of the tribes when in Israel, right? Like every territory, they had their own leaders, right? Their own tribes. Their system was very similar to the democratic republic type system. Like they had elections. There was some, it's a lot of staggering similarities and details, but the actual British people who were different than who they felt the need that they had to leave, right? Because Yair Davidi, he equates the British to mostly to Ephraim, also to Dan in a lot of ways, but Ephraim. And Menashe was not exactly like Ephraim. They're similar because they come from the same father, but Menashe had his own flavor. He had his own way of being, and he had to separate to assert that. And you have America.
Yeah.
Okay, so America is an expression of Menashe trying to assert himself. And also, there's a lot of prophetic verses about Menashe's role when, right before Mashiach comes, which is very similar to what America is doing. Anyway, we go on and on and on and on. I love this subject personally. Can I prove it without a shadow of a doubt? No, I guess, we'll see.
Of course
We'll
not.
see what happens.
Listen, can I tell you something? First of all, there's a whole thing of like, we're talking about, I don't know about lost tribes necessarily, but there's a whole thing in Spain. You have all these people who are Jews and they don't even know. It's supposedly like 25% of Spain today is
No, but that's
Jewish.
Jews.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just saying in general, like it seems to me that like, my rabbi, Rav Dror, again, I think I mentioned this before, he says, when Mashiach comes, we're going to find out that all the people that we thought, or not all, but a lot of the people that we thought were Jewish, I mean, they're still Jewish, but they come from not Jewish stock, I guess you could say. And then he said, all the people that we would never think are Jewish are from the, or from the lost tribes. He just says Jewish as a general term, from the lost tribes of Israel. Like he's big on that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it emerging. We see it emerging from like, India and Kaifeng Jews and B'nai Menashe, which I don't know if they're B'nai Menashe, but like that's what they're called.
Pedigree is important, but it's ultimately not the point because there was never supposed. I don't think that God really wanted, Plan A. It wasn't, Israel wasn't supposed to be, an ethnicity. It was supposed to be people, the human.
Yeah.
Like if you're a human, then you're Israel. That's where we're supposed to be moving towards.
Yeah.
But I have to wrap it up. But can I just say?
Yeah. I want to. Okay. I wanted to ask you like one thing about. I mean, Eliyahu HaNavi. So do you see like what in terms of like, let's say Eliyahu HaNavi is coming to announce Mashiach, is that a similar event in the sense of the way the way you've been talking about it with all the, the lights from Ghostbusters and all that kind of stuff, or is that something a little more subtle?
I'm hoping that it's the lights of Ghostbusters. I'm hoping that that's what I want because then you can't go back to listening to a campaign victory speech from another politician.
Oh, for crying out loud! Yeah.
Or you don't go back. You don't go back to your cubicle. You don't go back to this.
Yeah. There's nothing. In the words of the guy from Metallica, nothing else matters. What's his name? Lead singer. I forget his name. It escapes me.
You're not getting phone calls about refinancing your mortgage. Okay. This is what kills people. This is what destroys the spirit.
It grinds you down over time.
This rigmarole of these little adult things.
Do you qualify for Medicare? Call now to see if you qualify for Medicare as you fade away into oblivion.
Right. Make sure to print out your insurance, your car insurance, because if you get pulled over, you have to. This kind of crap. You know what I mean? Don't forget to do your registration. This is soul deadening thing. These are soul deadening things.
I know.
So, but I just wanted to say that this is to be continued, obviously. But the Jews have a connection to Yosef outside of being. Yehuda has a connection to Yosef outside of being obviously from the same family in the first place, but the Jews are also blood brothers to Yosef because today's Jews are Yehuda and Binyamin, right?
Yeah.
So Yehuda and Yosef were antagonistic, but Binyamin, they is beloved to both of them. And that's probably where they can meet, where they can bond with their love for their little brother Binyamin.
Yeah.
I don't know why that popped into my head. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
one of the reasons why I desperately had to pee. Medical. It's medical. I would continue yapping for a long time.
I hear. No, listen, I just want to say to my viewers that, we may feel like we're 20 in our heads, but
No, I was like this at 22. So it
oh,
feels the
okay,
same.
fine. So then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But
I don't feel any different. I physically don't feel any different now than I did when I was 20.
meaning you feel you felt crappy then and you feel crappy today, or you feel the same good today as you did when you were 20?
Both. The same crappiness and the same good. Like I none of my youthfulness, whatever I had at
Oh,
20.
dude, I was light not light in terms of weight, but I felt like until I was like, let's say 33, 32, I felt like I was floating around.
I feel more springy because I've been doing squats, over the years. My legs have become stronger.
Yeah. So I have to start doing that.
More athletic.
Yeah. But Baruch Hashem, I mean, I have good, if I start actually working out and like work out for like literally a month, forget about a month, just like 2 weeks, I'll see a difference in everything, not cardio, everything. I should start again, restart.
Dancing to the oldies, man. Get started.
Yeah. I got to put on my Global Underground polo can fold in New York and just hop to it.
Dude, the classic LTJ Bookham, MC Conrad album, logical progressions.
I've never heard of these things. I mean, I never heard these things. I never listened to them because it's more like drum and bass.
Off the Chizane. I will send it to you. I gotta pee. I'm about
right,
to
sir.
ruin the game.
Well,
again.
You're live. Thank you. All right.
I know.
All right, we'll end it on that. All right, sir. Fantastic. And Chodesh Tov. Talk to you.